Face shields protect the face from dusts and potential splashes or sprays of hazardous liquids. Face shields do not protect employees from impact hazards. Head protection should be used to prevent against head injuries. Common causes of head injuries include fallen objects, bumping one's head against fixed objects such as exposed pipes or beams, or contact with exposed electrical conductors. Hard hats require a hard outer shell and a shock-absorbing lining. The lining should incorporate a headband and straps that fit. Safety footwear should be used to protect employees from injury. Some common causes of injury include heavy objects such as barrels or tools that might roll onto or fall on employees' feet, sharp objects such as nails or spikes that might pierce the soles or uppers of ordinary shoes, molten metal that might splash on feet, hot or wet surfaces, and slippery surfaces. Safety shoes have impact-resistant toes and heat-resistant soles that protect against hot surfaces, common in roofing, paving, and hot metal industries. Some have metal insoles to protect against puncture wounds. Safety shoes may be designed to be electrically conductive for use in explosive atmospheres, or non-conductive to protect from workplace electrical hazards. Metatarsal guards are a part of the shoes, or strapped to the outside of shoes to protect the instep from impact and compression. Hand protection should be used to minimize the risk of hand injuries. The types of hand injuries to guard against include burns, bruises, abrasions, cuts, punctures, fractures, amputations, and chemical exposures. The nature of the hazards and the operation to be performed will determine your selection of gloves. The variety of potential hand injuries may make selecting the appropriate pair of gloves more difficult than choosing other protective equipment. Take care to choose gloves designed for the particular circumstances of your workplace. Glove manufacturers can provide valuable assistance. Body protection should be used to protect workers against common causes of injuries, such as intense heat, splashes of hot metals and other hot liquids, impacts from tools, machinery, and materials, cuts, hazardous chemicals, contact with potentially infectious materials, and radiation. Protective clothing comes in a variety of materials, each suited to particular hazards. Conduct your hazard assessment and identify potential sources of bodily injury. Different materials will protect against different chemical and physical hazards. When chemical or physical hazards are present, check with the clothing manufacturer to make sure that the material selected will provide protection from the specific chemical or physical hazard.
Contaminants in the workplace atmosphere can vary from asbestos fibers to toxic solvents and fumigants in the form of dust, mist, and fumes to non-solids such as gases and vapors.
Dusts are solid particles suspended in the air after grinding, sanding, or cutting. Dusts can also be stirred up by sweeping.
Mists are tiny liquid droplets suspended in the air, as might happen when spray painting or aerating liquids.
Fumes are fine particles that drift into the air when metals are heated, vaporized, and cooled, perhaps by welding, soldering, or grinding. Chromium and nickel fumes produced while welding stainless steel may lead to cancer.
Gases are substances that are airborne at room temperature.
And vapors are substances that evaporate from a liquid or solid at room temperature. Paint thinners, solvents, and gasoline vapors can damage internal organs like the heart and brain.
Vapors and gases may be invisible hazards that go unnoticed, colorless, tasteless, and odorless, like carbon monoxide. They may travel great distances in the workplace. A respirator is a proactive device to make the air we breathe healthy and safe.
In order to protect yourself, know what hazards you are facing.
Determine the type, nature, and concentration of the contaminants in the workplace atmosphere.
A hazard assessment will aid in determining the type of respiratory protection required.
The selection of the appropriate respirator is governed by 5 key factors.
What is the contaminant or contaminants we are dealing with?
What is the concentration level?
What is the oxygen level?
Any workplace atmosphere with low to no oxygen, rated as IDLH, immediately dangerous to life and or health, must be treated with the utmost caution and constantly monitored.
What are the warning properties?
And is there enough ventilation and circulation?
Your employer will ensure atmospheric testing is performed when required to determine the concentration of airborne contaminants.
Published data, MSDS, and container label WMIS information will dictate the respiratory protection required based on concentration and duration of exposure. Warning properties must be identified. Some contaminants have no warning properties.
Watch for the potential of airborne oil. Oil-lubricated air compressors and the presence of motor vehicles can often be the source. You may require a special cartridge filter.
Workplace atmosphere conditions may change. Regularly assess to make certain that the proper respirator is being used.
There are administrative and engineering decisions your employer may use to control airborne contaminants on the work site.
Is there a way to eliminate the job task altogether?
Is a fan for ventilation enough?
Can work on an item be performed somewhere less hazardous and then transported back to the site?
Should other work personnel be kept away from the site?
Can a dangerous process involving airborne contaminants be isolated or contained?
But in many cases, there is no choice other than to use personal protective equipment.